I've been an avid mineral and rock collector ever since I was a young man. In fact, when I became an adult, I started collecting systematically the various mining districts around the state of Utah where I live. And I would often take my family and friends along with me for the ride. Well, about 20 years ago, my friend Chuck and I spent 2 enjoyable days at the Tecoma Hills mining district in Box Elder County, Utah. And that area is famous for the beautiful wolfenite specimens that come from it. So obviously, Chuck and I's main objective was to see if we could procure some of those wolfenite specimens. As we explored the district, I noticed there were some areas of very high iron mineralization. And some of that stuff had deteriorated and actually formed little piles of very fine powder in colors from yellows to red. And as an artist, I knew that historically artists had taken that stuff and ground it up and put it in either oils to create oil pigments or gum arabic to create watercolor pigments. So I decided it would be kind of fun to collect some of that material, take it home, put it in some glass vials, and put it on my shelf in my studio so that I could have a remembrance of our collecting trip. Well, as I drove home, I started thinking about all the places that I collected rocks and minerals over the years and the many beautiful soils and sands and pebbles that I had seen. And I kind of felt bad that I hadn't taken the opportunity to collect some of that stuff. So I decided that I would start collecting small pebbles and sand and beautiful, colorful soils wherever I went to collect rocks and minerals. And thus began my formal sand and pebble collection. Well, when I arrived home from Tecoma Hill, I went to my local science store and I procured a case of 4-dram glass vials so that I could put my specimens in. In fact, here are the first 2 specimens that I collected all those years ago at Tecoma Hill, the yellow ochre and the red ochre. You know, since that time I've actually collected a lot of beautiful and curious things. I have everything from vials of little topaz crystals to small pyrite cubes to powdered purple fluorite to beach sand. And it's kind of fun because as friends found out about my new hobby, they would start sending me stuff from their states and even other countries. So today my collection contains specimens of sand and small pebbles from literally all over the globe. Just this past week, my wife and I were hiking around southern Utah, and we were in the colorful Morrison Formation, famous for fossilized Jurassic dinosaur bones, which, by the way, are illegal to collect, but I have come across many of them in my wanderings down in that area. But I decided to collect some different specimens of the beautiful sand and clay and soil in the Morrison Formation. In fact, along here are some of the vials that I've already completed, and here's a vial that I'm actually working on right now. After a while, my sand and small pebble collection had grown quite substantially, and so I designed and built this rack hanging on my wall here so that I could enjoy my specimens every day as I walked by them. And you know, the funny thing is, when people come to our home, they are mesmerized by this little display, at least some of them are. And I get comments all the time like, I've never seen anything so cool as this. And it's really fun to watch people pull different vials off of the rack that catch their attention and turn them around and read the little labels on the back of where they've come from. And it brings me a lot of joy to see other people enjoying my sand and pebble collection. Well, I'd like to think that having seen my sand and pebble collection, that maybe some other people will be inspired to start their own sand and pebble collections. After all, most people live in places where samples are easily obtained and very inexpensively so. And you know, just like rock and mineral collecting, you can trade your extra specimens with other collectors or simply give them away, which I enjoy doing immensely. Well, I hope you've enjoyed hearing about my sand and pebble collection, and may all your collecting adventures be filled with joy.